Okay, so implementing your security plan and strategy with regards to the social environment of your church can be kind of difficult. You might be a guy in your congregation that knows that you need security because maybe you have a law enforcement background, maybe you have a military background, maybe you're just conscious and aware and realize that there's a lot of people here. Every single person is a variable that we don't know, and that we don't know what they're going to do or what they're, only God knows the hearts of men, right? Any place that they're going to be, there's any type of congregation warrants protection. It is a requirement. That means the risk is elevated, even if all of those people are of the same mind, supposedly. No one really knows what's going to happen. And so security is just an organic necessity for these places, right? A few considerations when implementing a church security plan. Invariably, as with most every church campus I've ever seen, and I've seen hundreds of them, there's some politics. You're going to have people on either side of the aisle. You're going to have people that are like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get guys, let's get some up guns. Let's get some Hummers. Let's get helicopters haloing above, and let's get snipers on the roof. And then you're going to have the other guys that are like, well, we don't want to scare people. And they're probably scared themselves, actually. And they're like, we don't want to scare anybody away. Oh my goodness. Like, what if they see, let me give you my kind of 2 cents and my experience on it. And both perspectives are very understandable. The mission is to spread the gospel. And having implemented a few of these different plans, I have seen that this definitely helps that mission. This is something that it might take a second for the congregation to realize, but I cannot tell you how many times per Sunday when me and my guys are out there, and my guys, when we do church security contracts, the uniformed private security operatives that we use, my company, we're in full kit. So we are plate carriers, exposed weapons, almost SWAT looking, and it's a very, very hard look. You don't have to use this look. I'm not even necessarily suggesting that you use this look, but when we began building our plan, speaking with government agencies that we spoke with about, how do you keep a structure safe? How do you keep a congregation safe? What are the best measures that you guys have seen? They said far and away, you want as much deterrence value as possible, and exposed armed individuals are at an extremely high level of deterrence. It communicates instantly that there's a solid degree. You can bet that there's accountability in that environment. And when we find the journals and notes of all of these active shooters, one thing that my SEB and SWAT partners talk to me about, I'm not SEB, I'm not SWAT, but the guys that I work with on other private security operations and training operations and things like that, one of the things they related to me is like, look, man, we get done when we conduct our investigations after the fact, et cetera, and it's well documented, you can look it up. A lot of these shooters say, I didn't go to that campus because I knew they had armed security.
It was the only school that was targeted. There was another location that was mentioned, but because of a threat assessment by the suspect, too much security, they decided not to. And that area was here in Nashville, so we're continuing with that investigation as well.
I didn't go to this nightclub because they had armed security. I didn't go to that place, fill in the blank, because they have armed security. You should Google and chart where the highest volume of active shooters incidences are. They're in gun-free zones like schools and places where people know that there will be no good people that are going to be armed. So this is, in my opinion and in my experience, which this is my specialty, is a very diligent move if you're going to have a large body of people that could be looked at as a trophy for someone who is ideologically opposed or whatever it is. But what I have seen is that the implementation of even exposed, overt, militarized looking individuals on a campus will do a few things. At first, people will be like, oh, is everything okay? Like, why are you here? What's going on? And then when you explain to them, sir, ma'am, just with different changes that have been going on in current American culture, the pastors and the leadership here want you to be able to enjoy church safely. And also insurance companies also appreciate that churches have security. So we're here so that you can be in there and you can know that there's someone here to keep you guys safe and to deal with any emergencies that may arise while you worship safely. People love it. They love it. At first, they're asking like, what's going on? And then a few Sundays later, they're like, hey, security guy. Hey, security guy. Good to see you. I love you. They're bringing you food. You don't even know if you should eat the food because like you don't know the person. They end up loving it. They end up feeling way more safe. They end up having more trust in their leadership because their leadership's willing to do what needs to be done to make sure that they can worship safely. It's a grand slam every single time. I've never seen it backfire. Once they get used to it, after a few Sundays, they start being like, wow, I really feel safer. Literally hear it all Sunday long, 3, 4, 5 people a Sunday. I feel so much safer that you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being here. They call us cops on accident. Thanks for being here, officer. And we're like, okay, well, we're not cops, but we got you. And they're like, well, I love you. I appreciate you. So it's huge value add to your campus and your churches for people to know that they are secure. Whether you go with an exposed format or you go with a covert format, which you can also go ahead with, but the difference is you lose a lot of the deterrence, right? When we start talking about structure and where to put people and their different jobs and when they need to be where, you know, the deterrence value is huge. I want every single person in that congregation to see my armed guy if I have an exposed, uniformed, armed security operative in the mix. I want everyone who's driving in to see him out there in a very prominent location, whether it's on the corner, whether it's just somewhere in our property that's a bottleneck where all the traffic has to go. He's just out there smiling, nodding, waving, selling security and selling the fact that you're here at a safe campus with armed security, here to bring accountability if needed and necessary. Another cheat code I've seen to make these programs even more successful is if it comes from the pulpit. And obviously this is going to take buy-in from leadership, but if leadership says, hey, some of you may have noticed that we do have armed security here. Nothing's wrong. Nothing has happened. I just want you all to know that we, as leadership, are doing everything in our power to ensure that you can all come here and worship safely every single Sunday, you know, and the congregation, you know, you always get your ones that are going to send you an email and write you about it. But at large, I've seen on most every single occasion, they end up appreciating it. They end up loving it. And if you're never not there, then they're asking, where is the security? What's going on? So it's definitely a net positive, especially if it's rolled out from the pulpit. But we'll talk more about this topic a little bit later. But if you do have a company you're working with and your volunteers, you have to make sure you have the right culture where they understand that security is not the mission, the gospel is the mission, and security is one piece, or the church mission is the mission, but the security is one piece on the periodic chart of what needs to happen with the mission of that organization. Security is one piece that optimizes and empowers all the other pieces to do what they need to do. And the thing about security is, yeah, we don't produce a product, we don't produce income, but we empower you to produce income. One event on your church campus can wreck your street credit, reputation, brand, and can send your business under, right? So having that security there with who knows how many incidents are mitigated from the husband that's coming to get his wife, or the kids that are about to get into a fight or shootout in the parking lot that see you or that know you're there, second guess or second think what they're doing, or all the way up to the terrorist that is probing and walking around on your campus as they're in their hostile planning cycle, looking for the perfect church campus to be their victim. It's definitely important. It's definitely necessary. And it's definitely a net positive once the congregation realizes that, wow, we actually have trained, armed, good men and women here to protect us.